Alright, welcome back to another video over here on SAS Combat, and today I'm going to be bringing you my predictions for UFC 323 going down this weekend. Huge card, excited to get into it. So, starting off the main card, we have former light heavyweight world champion Jan Blachowicz taking on up-and-coming fighter Bogdan Guskov. The last fight for Jan was a loss to Alberg. Yeah, I remember that actually. That Alberg fight was a bit lackluster, but Guskov's powerful. Jan is very technical. And I'll be honest, I am going to pick Yan to get it done via decision. He's won up against a lot of good fighters, a lot of hard-hitting opponents. Carlos Ulberg, you see how he put Reyes out. Alex Pereira, I mean, he starched so many people, and Yan took him to a decision. So that kind of shows you the level Yan's chin's on. I think he's been waiting for a while to get a fight and probably get a win back. So I'm going to pick him to get it done. It should be a really good fight. Close one. Up next, Henry Cejudo takes on Peyton Talbot. Now, I'll be honest, when this one got announced, I was so confused because obviously 2 fights ago, Peyton Talbot loses pretty much due to wrestling. Henry Cejudo, obviously former two-weight world champion, simultaneous champion, 125, 135, unbelievable fighter. He did fake retire and it kind of backfired because by the time he come back, he had to take on people like Merab who beat him, Aljo who beat him. Tough fights, but fights that Cejudo probably would have won in his prime, but then didn't end up winning, and that's kind of got him to here. Coming off a loss to Song Yadong, but I'm 90% sure he got poked square in the eye and couldn't see anything, and it was a weird one. It was really weird from the doctors and the referee in that fight. So a weird circumstances in that loss for Henry Cejudo. Peyton Talbot, on the other hand, coming off that win against Lima, it was a good fight. Before that, he obviously lost, which was like the thing to see how much he improved his wrestling. But he really had a good performance in that Lima fight and showed improvements. I'm picking Henry Cejudo to win this one. I think his wrestling's going to be too good. I think he's got too much experience at the high level for Peyton Talbot. And in my opinion, unless Peyton Talbot perfectly times him, I do think Henry Cejudo's going to get the decision victory there. It's kind of like a veteran versus an underdog card. The prospect could so easily win, but I always kind of side with the veterans. Up next, there's only one man I'm picking in this fight, and that is Brandon Moreno. Been around for a while now, been a huge fan of Brandon Moreno, to be honest, and I do see him getting this done via his usual way. Crisp boxing, clean boxing. Tatsuo Terra, I believe I watched him fight Brandon Royval, yeah, and that was a very good, close back and forth fight. Not a great wrestling in that fight, but I do have to say I'm going to take Brandon Moreno here. I think in terms of fighters not being champion, being the best otherwise, and we'll get on to another one of those in a minute. I think Brandon Moreno is the one at flyweight, and I think he's going to get it done. I'm going to take him to get it done by decision. Chris boxing, I mean, you see that last one against Albazi, insane. Chris boxing, man, you love to see it. So I'm going to pick Brandon Moreno there. Up next, this is where my common sense comes in over my want, or maybe not my want, but just my hope for an underdog win. Alexandre Pantoja takes on Joshua Van, and I'm going to be picking Pantoja here. I could see Van having a lot of success on the feet, but even last time out, Pantoja against Kekar France was using his own striking very well. I mean, the difference between his grappling and his striking is a lot, but he still managed to make it work and find his own way about it, and he was mixing kicks, leg kicks with shots, body shots, headshots, mixing it all up in flurries and combinations to kind of distract to get into his takedowns. Don't get me wrong, Joshua Van goes out here, cracks him, jumps on top of him, lands little ground and pound shots. That's what I love to see, to be honest, because you gotta love that underdog win, and he's so young. A win like this will be one of the most monumental upsets in UFC history, in my opinion, especially in a title fight. It's like when Matt Serra comes in against GSP and chins him, you know what I mean? This is like a generational win if Joshua Van wins this. So I feel like even if you're a Pantoja fan, you could still be hyped at the fact, or maybe not hyped, but you could still appreciate the fact that he's won. But I am picking Pantoja here. I'm going to take him to get it done by submission. I could see a very valiant effort going up by Joshua Van, and then Pantoja maybe getting him in rounds 3, kind of 4. But we have seen before, Steve Ursig, number 10 ranked, comes in, gets the title shot over everyone else in the division, and arguably beats Pantoja. It can be fights like that where Pantoja maybe gets caught off guard and maybe isn't on his best game, but he keeps getting better. Kind of the problem, he keeps getting better. So I'm going to have to pick Pantoja here, but all respect to Joshua Van, obviously coming off that win over Brandon Royval. Crazy last 10 seconds and he gets the knockdown. Carries that power late in the fight, and especially even when it's a dog fight, he still carries it. And in my opinion, when Pantoja can't submit you and it's kind of that dogfight, if you can keep it on the feet, if Joshua Van has Pantoja in rounds 4 and 5 and he can't get tucked down anymore, serious trouble for Pantoja in my opinion. However, I don't think that is I feel like that's more of a secondary option to the primary of probably Pantoja submitting him early. So we're going to go with Pantoja there. But that is another unbelievable fight. And finally, we get to the main event. The rematch. The rematch, I'll be honest, I wouldn't be that hyped for if it was based off the first fight. I wouldn't be shouting from the rooftops for this rematch, but Yan has been on an absolute tear, and it was only fair that he got the rematch here. Merab wins the first time out, defeats Petr Yan via decision. May I say, probably one of the greatest wrestling performances I've ever seen in my life. Not in terms of how many takedowns he got and the control he had in the sprawls, but more of the fact this guy shot 49 takedowns, only landed 11, and persisted to keep shooting takedowns. Cardio for Merab is actually like otherworldly, never seen before cardio. Petr Yan's probably going to struggle with it in those takedowns. I do want to pick Petr Yan here. I do want Petr Yan to win. I've been a fan of him. He's put together a great win streak, coming off that win over Marcus McGee. It's kind of been like, ever since he lost the belt to Aljo, and obviously he had the rematch and he lost, but he's had that O'Malley loss, and that was close, and a lot of people think he won that fight. Yan has been kind of if there was an interim champion, if there was kind of a first and a second in division, it would probably be Merab and Petr Yan every time. He is too slick. He is so slick. If you look at some of those fights and that Marcus McGee one, whenever he switches on, whenever he locks in, some of those performances are just insane. Corey Sandhagen, spinning back fists, spin head kicks, trips. See those trips? If he pulls one of those off against Merab, insane fair play. A lot of those things. Petr Yan, whenever he gets into the rhythm, whenever he gets into the flow, it is so it is just clean to watch. Merab, on the other hand, Marauder, as we'd say, showed his power last time out as well against Corey Sandhagen, developing that in that area more. In my opinion, if I was him, I would use that more to take Petr Yan down, distract him, level changes, stuff like that there. Instead of trying to stand and have a boxing match with Petr Yan, because even though Merab is very good, to be honest, pretty the best. Merab, even if he doesn't, I don't know, it's difficult with Merab. Should he be pound for pound number one? Arguably yes. I mean, if you look at Taporia, he has that knockout wins over Volk, Max, and Charles. Fair enough, but Volk at the time just got knocked out 3 months before, or Max got dropped at lightweight. Alright, so yeah, it's been an incredible run from Merab. In my opinion, he has a really good shot at a really good argument for pound number one. If you look at the wins, I mean, 4 title wins in 1 year it'll be, I'm pretty sure, if he wins this. Starting with, think, Umar, O'Malley, Sandhagen, Yan. There's a good argument for Merab to be pound for pound number one, and he's definitely top three. And that leads me to my prediction. In my opinion, Merab's going to win. I think his cardio is just too good. I don't see Petr Yan being able to keep him off him. Not even just defend the takedowns, because he's proved he can do that. I mean, he defended 37 of them. It's the relentlessness, and I don't think he'll be able to keep him off him. I think he will land some nice shots in there, potentially hurt Merab. Corey Sandhagen stumbled him and fought a very good first round, probably the best first round we've seen against Merab, one of the best in their fight. Cap range, really good striking, and then Merab was like, no. Yeah, this is my fight, mate. We're not doing what you want, so get rid of that there. Once again, though, I would like a Petr Yan win. It would kind of be like a full circle moment for him to finally get the belt back. We'll set up a nice trilogy, give some time. That gives him more time to get his win and recover. I do have Merab winning this, so like, subscribe, follow for more. Instagram, Twitter, TikTok.